Welcome to Bibliobrainwaves, where pages breathe, ideas pulse, and wisdom moves through mind, body, and spirit, like a quiet current. This is a space where books are felt, not just read, where written words become waves and waves become wisdom. Hello, welcome to another episode of Bibliobrainwaves, where I expound on ideas and concepts in different self help books with my knowledge in mind, body, and spirit as a holistic practitioner and helping you on your journey to holistic wellness. So, today I have a guest with me. Her name is Karen Thomas, and I'll let her introduce herself and anything she wants you to know about her.
Hi, I'm Karen Thomas, and I run my company called A Better Life is a Choice. I'm kind of known as a second income guru because I guide people who are stuck at home or who want to work from home with earn at home solutions so that they can financially thrive.
Okay, awesome. So, our discussion today is from the book Healing Ancestral Karma by Mari Silva. And today's discussion is on spiritual welfare. So, first, I'll ask you, what's your personal experience with spiritual welfare?
Well, spiritual welfare, you know, we are all connected spiritually with our energies. And as we grow up, we are raised by people who are raised by other people who really don't have any clue on, except what they're taught from their parents, on what to do and how to train us to be connected to our inner selves. This is a generation that I think has become more consciously aware of that there is more parts to us than our parents and our parents' parents. And when we have the generational dysfunction in the families that is passed down, it becomes really apparent in today's society sometimes that people just don't have the training, and they're seeking others in these areas to help them find that place of comfort and that place of peace.
Yeah, and I'd also even say that ancestral or spiritual warfare can be genetic as well, because if the person before you or the lineage before you didn't heal whatever they were supposed to heal, then it definitely trickles down to you and to other generations until it's healed. My experience with spiritual warfare was definitely ignited as a child, I'd say, because I was a dreamer, and I still am to this day. I have dreams every day. But I went to a church that was non-denominational, and we learned a lot about meditation and, just looking within yourself for answers, alongside the guidance of the universe or God or whatever you decide to say. So I definitely was keyed into the different experiences I was having while I was asleep and connecting them to the experiences I was having in my waking life. And I eventually realized that my dreams were actually helping me navigate my waking life, which was a very interesting experience for a while, because based on the dream that I was having, I would know what type of week or month I was going to have. And it was usually pretty accurate. But yeah, and I would notice the different traumas of like stories that my parents were telling me and how it would translate into my subconscious. And then I learned how it was affecting me in my waking life, the things that they didn't do or did do, and how it affects me. So definitely, I think spiritual warfare is something that's passed down if it's not addressed earlier. When did you realize you were in the middle of a spiritual warfare?
I think I realized it when my mom would tell me about her Catholic upbringing
Mm.
and how when she got divorced from my dad, they excommunicated her. So we didn't go to church. Any church I went to was with friends and stuff. So I really didn't have the only guidance that I have is that she was really in tune. She came and drove across the country from California to here to Virginia under the teachings of Edgar Cayce, which was the Association for Research and Enlightenment, and they talked about, and I learned about through her delving into this about reincarnation and about us going through several lives in order to try to connect and to heal and to fix things that we didn't do in our past lives.
Mhm.
So I had an awareness of it, and but until you go in to get readings and stuff, which I never done. I just know that I believe that we've been here many times, that we're energy beings, and that we have to start really getting calm in ourselves and start looking to our higher self to start saying, where do I need to move myself that I can change the patterns, so I can change and not keep going down the same path as my mom and my grandmother. And I know I've changed and I know my mother changed, but is it enough? And you have to keep delving every day because it's easy to get side what is it, sideswiped, or that little, what is it, the little sparkle, and you get sidetracked. That
Mhm.
shiny object, that's what it is, that shiny object syndrome that takes us off track and takes us down other avenues that we don't really need to go through when we're really wanting to find the answers. You have to really start journaling and being still with yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely I definitely agree with that for sure because I mean, and then there has to also be a balance of, self-reflection and diving into yourself as well as living life because I think, a lot of people they want to fix themselves so much so that like especially if they have family issues and they don't connect with their family as well. They're like, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like this person in particular. So they're always constantly policing themselves. And I think that can cause a lot of spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional stress.
Yes.
So I would definitely say that there should be a balance there. Maybe like instead of the whole day, you're constantly self policing yourself, trying to be politically correct and all of those things. Just take it a step at a time, and even at the end of the day, or even at the beginning of your days, to reflect on the energy that you want to project out into the world. Because as we know, what you put out is what you get back. So, definitely do it during those times, but not the entire day because you will definitely ensue panic and anxiety if you're always trying to be the best version of yourself and not actually enjoying the life that you're currently living and staying present in that.
Oh, I
Um,
agree that the problem that most people is that they were taught that they needed to be perfect, that they had
mhm,
to earn the rewards, they had to earn and become and deserve, they had to do something to deserve anything. And
mhm,
some of the things that I've learned and that I practice right now is at the end of each day, I release the day. I thank it for the blessings. I thank it for the lessons. I thank it for the interactions that I had during the day. And then I just let it go. And I let
exactly.
it release it to the black hole, because the only time we really have is right this minute. If you keep concentrating on things of the past, things that happened, who said what, who's done what, if you then you're living in the past, you're not living in the now, you're not living in the future, you're not creating a future because you are concentrating on that past.
Mm-hmm.
of what you experience. So I release it every day, and I go to bed thinking on what value and what I can be a blessing in. Who can I bless the next day? How can I walk and have the Holy Spirit, Yahweh, whatever you want to call that higher power, show you what your, maybe what your direction is for the next day, because they know and they're in touch with the infinite possibilities. I don't need to limit myself on what I personally can connect with. There is so much more out there that can come to me that I can even imagine. So I just try to release it at night and just say, I'm here. I'm a vessel. Use me. How can I serve?
Exactly. And I want to touch on something that you mentioned earlier, which was about having people in your environment that tell you that you have to earn something in order to get something. In most cases in life that is definitely true, but when it comes to love and just general safety, I don't think you should earn that. I definitely, and I want to speak for the kids who have definitely experienced this because I was one of them. I had a parent who was a huge advocate of I don't dote on my kids. I don't, I don't love on my kids in that way. And she definitely prided herself on not giving correct guidance. She said, I want to be the example of what you should not do. So do as I say, not as I do. And from a child's perspective, you're not, it's like, what do you mean? Only do what you say and not what you do. Like, that's how kids learn, is through modeling, through copying whoever they're around. That's literally how kids first start to learn. They don't learn by being talked at or talked to, not generally. So I just want to say that if you do have somebody around you that's telling you that love should be tough, tough love, that's the concept of it. It I don't think that should be a thing. I think that you deserve love when you get to this experience, this life experience. You definitely deserve love from scratch. You shouldn't have to earn it. It shouldn't be a thing that you have to work for. Because essentially, if somebody's requiring you to do something like that, then ultimately you're never going to get the love that you want or need or deserve, because that person is literally manipulating you to do what they want so then you can receive love, as they call it.
Absolutely. No, you are right on point. Uh, and the thing is, our higher self and the universe, source, Jesus, God, whatever it's all about love. And they didn't say we had to earn it at all. It is automatically given.
Mm-hmm.
We as humans have taught, it's a programming that's been passed down for generations,
Mm-hmm.
and most people use that because they don't know any different. You
Exactly.
have to, until you are shown and explained like you're explaining it, you don't need to earn it. You don't need to do anything to have the love. We are taught that love is conditional when we're like 2 and 3 years old, because we're taught, once we start walking and talking, we're saying, no, don't do this, and button it up, and correct yourself, and watch your attitude. We're not taught how to really deal with our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not taught how to deal with your emotions by people who themselves don't know how to deal with their emotions, you're going to do exactly what you see done. It doesn't matter how much somebody says, do as I say. We as humans always do as we are shown. So
Mm-hmm.
you, in order to even change your own programming, you have to change what you're looking at. What are you watching? What are you allowing coming in each and every day? I'm very, very selective of what I allow to watch. and to listen to. I don't do, it's not that I don't do podcasts. I'm very picky about the topics and things that I want to allow to influence or to say, okay, do I agree with this or not agree with this? You
Yep.
have to consciously tell yourself, do you agree? Because if you don't, your subconscious hears it and says, oh, this is the new way. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to tell your subconscious, no, I don't agree with that. But you
Yes.
have to be selective on the music, all this advertising, all these commercials, these ads that are shown in all of the platforms. They are all there to program you into believing that you need other things. You need to have that.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you are right on point that it should not be that way. And more people, if they really, really looked back on their own childhood and their own parenting, I look back on my parenting and said, oh my God, I wish I'd have known, you know, back then what I know today, because my kids, I did better by my kids, but I didn't do as good as I should have.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think even one good piece of advice that I got as a child and I took very seriously was question everything and everyone, because because you need to be able to use your discernment in order to be able to understand if whether this person is trying to manipulate you or not. And then also being able to identify your feelings about whatever's being shared with you. So really just having those skills is very helpful to understand the intentions of what's going on, and it allows you to have autonomy over your decisions. So definitely ask, ask, ask. I don't care if it's even, like I said, your biological parents or whoever raised you, anything like that. If it's somebody that's important to you, that you look up to, don't be afraid to ask them or question them on what it is that they're doing if you don't understand. Because you never know what what the intentions are. And we all are built in with intuition. They call it women's intuition, but everybody has it. And you can feel that energy shift between you and the person that you're connecting with when you get deeper into trying to understand what they have going on and what they want you to be a part of. So that's a way of protecting your energy and protecting your mental capacity and anything like that, is to ask, ask, ask. And it'll save you in a long run.
It is. And the thing is, you can do your own research as well. Even,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people are very rigid in what they believe, and they will go down pretty much fighting to explain their version of anything to you.
Yep.
But you can research with the tools we have today with Google and Chat GPT, and there's just so many ways that and avenues that you can get different opinions. And I'm all about reading different kinds of books. I'm very eclectic in reading all different types of information about, our past, our energy, our, all these different areas that can affect who we believe we are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. So, can you share with the listeners and the watchers, how did you process and move through the chaotic time that you were dealing with? Like, what was your process when you were going through spiritual warfare?
Oh, my process has been pretty much meditation,
Mm.
and just I'm with finding out when my daughter was in second grade. She was diagnosed with ADHD. Now my second daughter is a mini me, and so I never knew she was just like me. So I never knew that I had a that they classified that I wasn't normal. I just felt really odd. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, the spiritual warfare has been that I've always been different than who my mom was, who my sister is, and I've always felt odd
Mm-hmm.
and not able to control myself and be what they wanted me to be.
Right.
So when I started learning that if I could master my own thinking, then with mastering my own thinking, I could then decide what I wanted to believe, because thoughts, we get 60,000 thoughts every day, and they're just thoughts. They are not who you are. But
Exactly.
if you decide that you're going to dwell on a thought, and society is always planting so much thoughts, it's you. To me, it's a matter of, I've now classified it. If it doesn't tell me that I'm wonderful and amazing, then it's a thought, and it's a spiritual attack on of the amazing person I am, and it is to be thrown out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So when anything doesn't empower me and say, that's, you should try it, or you should do it, but if it says at all that I'm not capable, that I am too old, too young, if it says anything that stops me because of cliches or just my own fear, because fear is, I think, the biggest spiritual tool, is the fear of standing out, the fear of being different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was taught, was being different was not good.
Yeah. Mm.
And so coming to terms with mastering my own thoughts has been the biggest blessing, and meditation has been the biggest part of that. Just calming, breath work. Maybe it's not even meditation, it's breath work, and slowing down and just saying, I'm not thinking on anything. Just allowing yourself to just sit and learn what non-thinking is. Your brain is always going to be thinking, but you don't have to claim the thoughts. You can just let them go.
And that's actually a key point too that I realized as well is, the way the world is operating currently, and has for eons, is, you know they want you in a state of panic. You got to be at work at this time. You got to go to school at this time. You got to finish this at this time. And there's always a state of panic for one reason or another. And we all experience it. And then, of course, when you experience panic, then what happens? Then you get anxiety, and then what happens? Your your heart's beating like crazy. Your heart rate isn't normal because you're always, I forgot, I didn't do, I don't know, I don't remember. Always in a state of panic. And breath work is super important because it allows your body to slow down, which is our natural state of being anyway, is to slow down. We're always told to have a microwave way of doing things, which is why there's like this technology. It's easy for it to get the best of us because you know now you don't have to type your own emails or have any critical thinking when it comes to creating things because you have different technology that can create it for you. You just say, I want this and I want it to look like this and I want it to feel like this in the wording, and then it's created for you. So a lot of the natural abilities that humans are supposed to have are being taken over by technology, I believe. So it further removes us from our natural state of homeostasis and just staying calm and moving to the next thing. That's why I favor the Asian cultures because they have time where they sit down for tea and they just reset. And in other areas, they might have a time where all the stores close and then everybody can go and take a nap. Like, I just think that we would totally benefit from just like an hour and a half or something like that where everybody can just go home and rest. But of course, that's also hard because, of course, distances from work or whatever you're doing. But I just think it should be implemented that there's a time for a break in existence where you're not trying to overstimulate yourself with conversation or always having to do something. And that would help a lot with helping people get back to their balanced state. So with that being said, do you feel like the spiritual warfare that you've experienced still shows up in your life, whether it be uh, how you feel physically, mentally, emotionally, or also spiritually?
I think the spiritual part is always going to show up. It's just how much you let it influence you. The
Mm,
anxiety that most people have is just the where their thoughts, because your thoughts create a chemical and they create the feelings that you have. And most people's thoughts is because it's all stimulated with what is going on with listening to the media and listening to other people's opinions and getting
mm,
involved in all of that. We activate the cortisol in our bodies. And I think there's people that from the time that they were past 7 years old, that they have been on cortisol for so long, they don't even know what being calm is. When you
mm,
do breath work, it actually lowers the cortisol by 3 or 4 points with
mm-hmm,
every session. For every 5 minutes that you do breath work, you are lowering that cortisol effect in your body. They say that you do not have reasonable, or not reasonable, rational thought if you are
mm,
in flight mode. If you are in that fight or flight mode, you do not have rational thought, which is where all that cortisol is flowing through your body. So you are at war with your own body when you are allowing that to go on in your body. So when you do breath work and you take that moment, whether you are allowed it at work or not, I used to tell people, if you need to do something, go in the bathroom and close the door. Take a few minutes. Nobody's going to ask you what you're doing in the bathroom. You can go hide for a few minutes, and take that time just to sit and breathe and take a moment to yourself to just decompress. But
exactly.
you know, that you have to change that for yourself. You have to decide you're important enough to undo whatever's going on with yourself.
Exactly. I definitely agree with that. I did a couple of years of training doing somatic breathing and teaching about it. And I remember we did I can't even think of what it was called now, but there's a certain breathing technique where you breathe through one nostril and then you alternate. And whichever one that you use, the rhythmic breathing, it can either wake you up or calm you down. And it's very fascinating how regulating just breathing can be, just being, you know? Um, so, last question. What do you know now that you wish you knew when your warfare started?
I know now that frequency and the different brain waves affect how I can calm myself down. Back, in previous years and in my younger self, when I was growing up, I had a hard time listening to hard rock music. I People would say, "Well, what's wrong with it?" I said, when I listen to hard rock music, it makes me angry. I feel
Mm-hmm.
mad. I never understood why that is, but the frequencies in the music triggered that in me, and it was uncomfortable feeling. I just did not know what the other frequencies and why the other types of music seem to be more therapeutic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now I understand, because science has come so far in all its research on the effects of, the alpha waves and the beta waves and the delta waves. They now understand so much more about how frequency and hertz can affect us, that you can now go listen. They've got YouTube videos and stuff, and with the new headphones. I mean, back when I was growing up, you didn't have headphones, you had boom boxes.
Hmm. Exactly.
And now you can put a headset on and have it with left and right, you know, pulses and hertz is coming into your brain. It changes in just a few minutes, almost instantly sometimes, how you can feel the difference in your body. I wish I had known back when I was young, because it would have helped me think so much clearer than, as a teenager you get upset over everything.
Yeah. Exactly.
you when you're young, you let everything affect you, and I've learned just to not let things affect me anymore. Taking a deep breath on everything and realizing everything's temporary.
Yeah. That that everything is temporary is so important because it feels so permanent in the moment.
Yes.
It's whew, it's hard too. Spiritual warfare is not for the weak, I'd say. Everybody goes through it, but not everybody makes it to the end, because it does end. It's just the reason why it feels like it takes forever is literally because you're breaking down generational issues. So it's not
Hmm.
just whatever you're dealing with on a day to day, it's also whatever your ancestors and the people that came before you were dealing with, that they didn't accomplish the mission. So now it's on
Hmm.
you. But that isn't to put pressure on you, not to say that you have to go on a whole excursion to try to fix everything that's happened in your lineage, because you can't. But you can at least work on what comes to you, what issues come
Right.
to you, what issues affect you. So then that way you can heal that. And that's why ancestral or no ancestral healing and karma come in, because it's really like you have to heal yourself and others, but also you can only work on certain things that really do affect you. So that's why it will always be a thing for generations and generations to come. Nothing will be completely done, but at least you can chunk a lot of those traumas off, and you'll start to see the progression in the later generations, because you'll see through your children, as I do mine, where they're not having to experience the same things that I've experienced, because I've healed it. And then if I do see that they're going through something that I've been through, even though it hurts to watch them go through it, I can more easily walk them through it, and we can walk on the journey together, because I know where they are, because I know where
Exactly.
I was.
Exactly. One of the biggest tools that I came across was understanding that we can rewrite the story.
Yep.
That when you think in the past, or you think of a story, and it triggers the emotions, it's kind of like you tell the story and it's like you're reliving it all over again. When
Mm-hmm.
you rewrite the story, is you go back into that story and you make yourself see a different ending. It changes even going into the future. If you when you rewrite an argument and you make it where you end up loving each other at the end, instead of stomping out of rooms or throwing things, it changes who you are at the it's like a healing of that moment
Yeah.
energetically, and it goes throughout the past and it goes throughout your future. So sometimes things change, and you all of a sudden, if you had an argument with your mom and maybe you haven't talked in 20 years, and you start doing this where you rewrite those arguments and you rewrite so that you all love each other and are accepting of each other, people have been known to get phone calls where I just was thinking of you and I just felt I had to call you. It
Mm-hmm.
changes even if you're not in the same house, in the same country. Energetically, you change all the people that are involved in those stories.
Yep.
And you have to be the one that decides how you want that story to end. If you didn't like the way it ended back in your memory, change the memory. It changes energetically who you are and who your identity is. And that is a way that I have found that I have healed a lot of the trauma from my childhood is I just rewrote the story.
Exactly. And I actually do that with clients in my, which I call story mapping. So, we go back and we look at what happened and, where we're at now and where we want to be in the future, and then mapping those steps to get past that trauma. Because it's really important, because it is truly true. It's truly true that um, if you don't know your past, you're doomed to repeat it. So I think it's really important not to focus on the past, but to use it as a reference for your present and your future. So then you can do better, and for not only yourself, for other generations to come. Because even if you don't have your own children, it's important to spread what you learn to other people in your family, because you never know what people are going through. But since you're in a shared lineage and by blood, more than likely they're experiencing either the same thing or a similar situation but different outcomes. So it's good to have feedback on different experiences as well if you can connect with your family in that way. Definitely
Exactly.
do so, because you learn more about yourself as well.
Exactly.
So I definitely appreciate you, Karen, for joining me on this discussion, because it's really important. And I hope that my listeners are able to, you know, have some tools that they can use on their current spiritual journeys. And I will put all of my links below. You can like, comment, and subscribe. I'm excited to hear your feedback on our discussion today. And Karen, did you have anything you wanted to add before we go?
I'm just so thankful to be able to have this discussion with you. You are an amazing person, and all that you bring in helping us to undo and heal through the spiritual past, through the generations and through the now. It all makes us better people, and we can only work at being in the now as the best that we can be. And I'm just so appreciative that you are here and available to be another soul that is working at bringing us into better alignment to ourselves.
I appreciate that so much. Um, and I look forward to speaking with you again. And we'll connect after. But like I said, you guys, like, comment, subscribe, and let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. And I'll see you on the next wave.